Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Todd Nauck. Welcome to today's art live stream. So today we will be working on a brand new illustration on a sketch cover here. I have this Invincible Iron Man 600 blank variant, and we're gonna draw Thor on this. No, we're not. We're gonna draw Iron Man. It's Iron Man time. I want to draw classic Iron Man. This is the Iron Man armor I grew up with. I think this is the Mark V Iron Man. And yeah, so I'm a big fan of this armor, and I thought it'd be fun to do something kind of classic on this where it has the classic logo. So I thought the classic armor would look nice on this and be fun to draw. So you're welcome to draw along. Hopefully you'll learn some tips and tricks. I'll try to share some of my thought processes as I go. Or is that processes? What is the plural of process? I need to look that up. Not a word I say very often, and I should, considering the line of work that I do. So you're welcome to draw along. Use whatever tools you have. Use whatever drawing appropriate paper you have. Sketchbook, legal pad, a paper bag, the inside of a paper bag, which I have drawn on, and it can actually be quite fun. That brown texture, it can be a real interesting experience. Give it a try. Try drawing on a paper bag. I'll wrap Christmas presents in paper bags. I'll cut open a paper grocery bag, invert it because I don't want the grocery logo on it. Use the inside of it as the outside, and then I'll draw something on it. Usually I do that for my wife's gift, so she gets a little personalized illustration on her Christmas gift. So yeah, anyhow, this isn't craft time. This is draw Iron Man time. So enough jibba jabba. Let's flip the camera around. Let's get to drawing. All right. We'll do the old readjustment here. Clip back into the clamp. Adjust the light. Hello everyone. Welcome, welcome. So glad you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let's pop this sketch cover out of the slipcase. Now a lot of people ask, where do you get these? You know what? Simplest answer, comic book shops. Reach out to your local comic shop. In the stay-at-home season, for most of us, you'd have to call or check their website or eBay site, see if they have any, until we get to a time where we can, safely go into establishments. But yeah, you can reach out to your comic shop and see if they have any for sale. Also, you can look on eBay. Like I said, many comic shops have eBay stores, so you can go on eBay and purchase them. They can run anywhere from $5 to $20, depending on the title. So, I want to try to do a full figure here, and I want to try to create some action here. So, I'm going to just do an initial breakdown of the shapes. So I do have my Iron Man action figure, and I was playing with him this morning, kind of putting him in poses. Some people use models, such as these, to help get ideas, and I'm totally down for that. It's good to get an idea. They can be a good tool to get an idea of the pose, see what the foreshortening might look like. You can twist and turn the character any direction you need to draw them. But one thing to keep in mind, not exact anatomy. This is not how a real shoulder looks. It looks fine and cool for an action figure, but when you're drawing it, this is not how a knee would bend in how we need to draw it. So it's good for pose, but don't rely on it solely for anatomy. You have to take the knowledge you have of anatomy, blended with your creativity, blended with that as a resource, but not the sole use for your drawing. Just wanted to say that at the top. I'll try to respond to comments and questions as I go. A lot of my focus goes in the art, but I will try to look over and catch anything if I can. So I'm using this is going to show up real light right now here in this initial sketch stage. Maybe I should switch to the red. In fact, I don't even really like where I place this head here. I'm going to switch to the red pencil so you can see my underdrawing a little bit better, my structure drawing. So I'm kind of putting the head just a little bit left of center, I want to make it a little smaller so we can fit the full body in. Yeah, it's hard to see. Let me see if I can push in a little closer here, and then I'll just have to slide the board as we go so it fits in frame. So we start. No, it's not the same pencil I use when I'm doing my Post-it note illustrations. That's correct. I have a whole arsenal of different pencils I use. This is, I'm doing tighter pencils here, so I want to show y'all more of the underdrawing and structure. So we're just going to kind of build this Iron Man bit by bit. So I want to kind of have a flying shot of Iron Man, I think. So I'm starting with the head. I'm just kind of building bit by bit as we work the way down. Am I coloring this with Copics? On Thursday, I will be coloring this with Copics. Today is just pencil art. Tomorrow will be the inked art. And then Saturday will be, or not, oh my goodness, I jumped 2 days in my week. Let's start that over again. Today is pencil art, which is Tuesday. Then Wednesday is inked art. Then Thursday, that would be the day after Wednesday, will be the Copic color live stream. So it's kind of a down shot. Do I recommend doing the red line or blue line and blue lines before drawing the actual thing? Depends on your approach. This is what I do. I use I'm using red for video purposes, but more when I do my regular work, I use blue. Actually, nowadays I use digital for my penciling for the comics and covers that I do. But for a piece like this, I will break it down either lightly with a mechanical pencil or in light blue or red. It all just depends on, I always change it up, but I always break it down. Break down my shapes like this. So it all depends on what you like to do. It's not a rule. It's not one is better than the other. I switch it out because I like to keep things fresh for me, even to that degree. So experiment with it. I'm a big proponent of experimentation when it comes to one's art. Try new shapes, try new tools, try new techniques. So it's kind of a down shot, like he's flying up towards us, is the intention here. We've got the waist and the belt. At least I think that's the direction I'm heading. I have some foreshortening here. I wanted to put a fist, this arm way up here. I'm wondering if I allowed myself the right amount of space for that. I did not. I did not. Actually, I'm going to try something a little different here. Now I'll do this whenever I'm working on a pose. I'll sketch something out. If it's not working, bail and do another thing. Before I draw, do I do warm-ups or stretch? Sometimes. In fact, I was working on a little some warm-up sketches here this morning. Maybe I should try this pose of Iron Man. It doesn't really fit. This is more of a vertical, and this is more of a square image, square space here. So not quite enough room to fit the whole thing in there without him being really small. So I'm trying to maximize the space of the square here. "100 push-ups before every drawing." I should do that. I should condition myself to the point where I can do that. All right, let's try again here. So I need to keep this a little fast and loose here for the initial shapes, not get too detailed. Make sure I'm heading in the right direction and utilizing the space the way I want. So it's a lot of heavy thinking going on in this stage, a lot of heavy thinking. So sometimes I take 2 or 3 attempts, sometimes 7, 12, 43 attempts to find the right pose and right use of space before I get to the image that I want. Yeah, and that one's not working either. So this is why I start lightly, pencil real lightly, so if I need to erase, I haven't carved in dark, heavy lines. All right, so I think what I want to do to utilize the space is maybe go at an angle here to give myself more vertical. So head, neck, down to chest. Shoulder, bicep, forearm, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. That's right. Someone go to summer camp? Or a Boy Scout jamboree? Or youth group? I think I sung songs at all those. I sung that song at all those as a kid. Put the other arm over here. Tuck it in right there. Is a Sumo Grip pencil good? I don't know. I have not used the Sumo Grip pencil, so I cannot speak to that. I do not have any experience with the Sumo Grip. I just have not encountered it. So that's why I cannot speak to it. I have not encountered one. All right, so I think I'm liking this better. It's starting to fit together better. And I'm getting something here that I feel better about building on, and I like my use of space, of this square chunk of open space here. So let's finish out the lower half here as we head towards the bottom of the cover. Start to work in those thighs. Have you played the Avengers arcade game by Data East? I don't know if I have. I have played an Avengers arcade game back in the 1990s, but I don't know if it was by Data East. that was the early 90s, I think. Early to mid 90s. And the one that had Hawkeye and Black Cat for some reason. I can't remember who else was in that. I think maybe Vision. It was a very interesting group of characters. I think it might have had Captain America in it. Have I ever done one of these sketch covers where I opened it up and used the front and back? Yes. Go into my live stream. In my live stream playlist, my YouTube live stream playlist, and you'll see a 25-part series where I drew a large group of X-Men on a X-Men blank cover that was the front and back. You're drawing a dragon right now. Very good. Used to fix those arcade games when you were younger? That's cool. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with this arm over here. I got all this real estate and I want to see how I can utilize it. Oops, here we go. So sorry, gang. Now once I move to the graphite line, this is going to get a lot, you're going to be able to see the details a lot better here. So I have his hand out here to charge up a repulsor blast. A little circle right there for the repulsor ray. Have I ever messed up inking on a sketch cover? I'm sure I probably have. I've messed up a lot of art in my day. That just comes natural. I mean, everybody messes up an illustration every now and again. Whether you're a amateur, a pro, or anything in between. That's just called being a human being. Okay, so I'm digging how that arm goes, because then we can light up that repulsor later on. Then this hand will have as a clenched fist. Do not like that fist. Where can you find dynamic poses to practice? Really great question. I would say I can only speak from my experience. Is that okay if I share with you from my experience? My experience has been, I learned initially from comic books, seeing what the greats had done. As my skills progressed, I learned life drawing. I worked more from looking at real life. But between those two, one constant that was always there is imagination. So I'd say utilizing, anyone who wants to draw comics, I think we're all inspired by our favorite comic book artists and comic books we read as a youth and hopefully still read today. I think many of us learn from drawing from real life so we can get accuracy or a little bit more accuracy or believability in our life drawing skills or the believability in our art. No matter how stylized our art style is. And then a big proponent of that is, or a big portion of that, just going to lighten this up here so I can get better details in the head, is imagination. Like I'll imagine the character, like this character here. I imagine this pose in my head. Inspired by a lifetime of reading comic books and studying life drawing, or not just life drawing, but real life illustration or photographs, looking at real life people as well as comics, and then just imagining this scene here. Start to structure out this face a bit more. Using all the guidelines from all those Post-it note headshots. It all comes into play here. Eye line, nose line, mouth line. got those little slats for eyes. And a slat for the mouth. So this will give me the basics here, basic shapes, and then I'll come in with the graphite pencil for tighter pencils. So I can have a better idea of seeing the details that I'll then ink tomorrow. All right, so now let's switch over to graphite. So I'm probably going to use a combination of my HB lead graphite pencil. This is a Kimberly brand. You can use any brand of art pencil. I like HB lead. And then I'll use my Unicura Toga 0.3 HB lead mechanical pencil. Both of these are HB leads. Oops. Started to focus on my hand instead of the art. There we go, back in focus. So let's start tightening up these details here. Crisp, clean pencil art. I think someone had asked, do I prefer doing covers or interior work? I like both. I like both. They're two different experiences. So I've always been an interior artist, and I've done a lot of covers. I probably do even more covers now than I have at any other point in my career. So I really enjoy getting to do both. For me, comics are both covers and interiors, so I love it when I can do both on a title. So I'm always happy to draw a cover or interiors. Have you ever designed or redesigned characters for a project? Yes, I have. Many times. That is kind of part and parcel of being a comic book artist. And it's a lot of fun to get to do. Okay, I think I need to readjust this face here a little bit today. So we're just going to wipe out that face. Actually restructure this head just a little bit. Have I met Stan Lee in person? Yes, I have, a couple of times. Once early in my career, and the last time I got to see him was in 2014 at a convention in Dallas, Texas. He was very kind and gracious to me, and I really appreciated that opportunity to meet him and talk with him. And yeah. Still kind of hard to believe that he's not with us anymore. Let's try this again. So that was a bit of a long question, but I think you're asking how long do the comic book companies give us to draw a comic book? If that was the question you asked, we get about, on average, about 4 weeks to draw one comic, one 20-page comic book. Sometimes we can get a little more time. There have been times where I've come onto a book that was a little bit behind schedule, so I had a little less time. But editors try to do what they can to get you as much time to work on the book, like to produce the book, as possible, so that you don't have to feel rushed. I really appreciate the support I get from my editors. They've always been great to work with. Made a lot of great friends in the industry with the people I've worked with. So about 4 weeks. So that averages out to 1 page a day, which is pretty generous. And because of how small this shot is, we're going to just fill in the eye and mouth slats completely black. For the red parts of his armor, there'll be a lot of heavier darks. All right, now we're going to move into his chest areas here. And we're going to start working on some elements of his armor, like these shoulder. I don't even know what you'd call these. I've seen them all my life, but I don't know what they are called. There's a term for them. Not quite a shoulder pad. Shoulder guard? Shoulder thingy. Might be a good word for it. So I'm going to switch here to this broader tipped pencil. Start working on those pectoral muscles. Where is my ellipse template? The portal on his chest at this angle is kind of an oval rather than a straight-on circle. So I want to find the right shaped oval, right sized oval. Actually, that's at the wrong angle. So let's try that again. Let me rough that back in again. Let's try that again. It's a little too extreme of an oval. This should be better. Almost got it, just to tilt it a little bit more. That's better. Inner ovals, I kind of got off at a wrong angle. So try it again. Need a little more lift. Is that better? That's better. Because it's kind of angled upwards. He's got these upper chest, we're just going to keep using the word portals. Protrusion portals. Iron Man was the first comic you purchased? Right on. Mine was Secret Wars. It was a 3-pack, issues 7, 8, and 9. Issue 8 was the first appearance of Spider-Man's black costume back in the 1980s. What was your first comic book you purchased, viewers? Avengers, right on. Spider-Man, Action Comics, the Infinity Storyline, Flash, G.I. Joe 18, Star Wars 3-pack from 1978. Right on, right on. Good stuff, great stuff. Start to work in the other parts of his body here. Who is my favorite character? I have lots of favorite characters. Spider-Man was one of my all-time longest favorites, though. Got to give it up for Spidey. Also a big X-Men fan. So I'm keeping in mind the metal shine of his armor, whether it be red or gold. adding more dark to, or more, using more black areas to the red portions. Considering the anatomy, the shape of his body, muscles. Into how I sculpt that shine using little multi-lines here to create kind of a chrome sort of look. That's all based on his musculature, so keep studying your anatomy. Learn your shapes. And for the yellow parts, we won't have quite as much rendering, but still some. It just won't be as thick and dark as some places. I'm just considering how it reflects around the world. Have I ever worked with Stan? No, I never got a chance to work with Stan Lee. By the time I started working regularly for Marvel Comics, he had retired from creating comics for the most part. So I'm considering each muscle grouping here as I use my lines to create the shine here. Now for like this red gauntlet here around his arm, top part of his glove, keeping in mind the 3D shape, the cylindrical shape of it. Heavier shadow on the bottom, some reflected stuff at the top there, a little fade here as it goes towards the reflected light. And that's kind of my approach to rendering an object like that. Getting his knuckles. Now if you can see here, the knuckles arc. If you make your fist, you'll see how your index finger to your middle finger to your ring finger to your pinky finger, how it kind of arcs up to the middle finger, then down to the pinky finger. That helps make your fists look a little bit more natural. Or your hands in general, depending on the pose. If you ever question how to draw a hand and you need reference, look at your hands. I do it all the time. To study the shapes and see, how do I want to make my hand the right size and shape? And then the banded metal is going to curve around his forearm. You know, I consider the volume of the character. It's going to curve around his hand here. It's like flat across the back of his hand, then around to the palm. Some metallic reflection in the forearm there. Let's see, I got some tighter details. So going back to the mechanical pencil. Get the banded metal going across the fingers. A little bit of a curvature. Around the thumb. See, can someone please post the result on Instagram? There'll be a shot of this on my Instagram. Yeah, make sure you're following me on Instagram. The link is in my video description below. So you can follow me on Instagram. And I always post my YouTube illustrations on my Instagram, as well as a bunch of other illustrations. And sometimes I do live streams on Instagram as well. So make sure you're following me on live stream, or on on Instagram, I mean. All right, let's come and tackle this other arm. Got a lot of foreshortening going on over here with this hand, so we're going to start with the hand itself because it's more in the foreground. And this one, the hand does not have fist, his fingers are extended. So I like to start with each of the segments of each finger. And there's 3 to make up a traditional human finger. And since I do banded metal for his fingers, it's okay that I draw each section like this. I might not draw a hand like this if it were like Captain America, where I connect them all to where they're all connected shapes. But for banded metal, it works fine because the connections are hidden in the bands, as you will see here momentarily. I find hands really fun to draw. I love drawing hands. They're so expressive. I find them to be just as important as the face in expressing emotion. So it's something I developed an interest or love in drawing as a kid. So even though I have experienced and still can experience challenges in drawing hands, I still have a lot of fun with it because I love how the end product looks. See, I'm going to need to rough this out a little bit more. We have the meaty part of his palms. And then we have the thumb here, which is only 2 segments to that digit. Double check my foreshortening here as we go from wrist to elbow and then back up to the upper arm. So I have the pull of the striations of the inner arm there. Tips on how to make eyes more expressive and not staring off into space. I say look at photo reference. Look at a real person. Look at how they are looking. And study the shape of the eyelids. Study the shape of the crinkles around the eye, the iris, the pupil. Where are they set on the inside of the eye? That's been my experience, is just to look at real life and break down those shapes and capture that spark. That eyes are the windows to the soul sort of idea. I think looking at real life is probably the greatest resource in that regard, from my experience. from my experience, which is I guess the only experience I can speak from. So, okay, so we got the forearm coming back to the elbow, and then from the elbow, we're going back up the arm to the shoulder here. And we'll come and finish off the details of that hand here in a moment. That pectoral muscle pulls over here to the shoulder. Okay, so we had some, we'll just freehand the little portal right here for his repulsor rays, since it's so small. Going to go back to my mechanical pencil here. Do the banded metal rings, so a little circle right there in the front at the tip of the finger, and then we can just pull these banded metals down. Really get about 2 per segment. Is a nice ratio. Can I please draw a superior Spider-Man next time? Thank you for the suggestion. Definitely something I will consider. I can't make any promises as to who I will draw next time, but definitely something to think about. And then the banded metal pulls across his palm here. And around his forearm. Then let's see, we need to add some shadow shapes. Kind of on the underside. The pinky's a little too long. Just need to shave off a little bit here so it doesn't. Actually, I just want to reapproach that pinky altogether. Gotta keep in mind the length of each finger. If you're unsure of how long each finger should be, take a look at your hands. Got easy, handy resource right there to remind you of how long a pinky is compared to how long the other fingers are, etc. Everyone's different. Some people have some really long ring fingers, or their ring finger might be as long as their middle finger. It can vary, but pinkies tend to be the shortest of the 4 fingers. We're not including the thumb in that. The thumb is its own thing. Okay, so now we just have to finish off the waist and thigh area here. Gonna readjust these panels here on the side as little discs. I always thought that was an interesting aspect of his costume, these hip discs. Thanks for all the suggestions, people. Thank you for all those. Just kind of reworking the stance here a little bit, widening the stance for a little bit more heroism. Kind of reworking the inner parts of the pelvic area, the quad muscle, and then the inner thigh muscles. Kind of almost like a rope texture. It takes a lot of study to kind of get those all pulling in the right way. And kind of do the mirror image on this side. And then his shorts have that banded metal look as well. So now we can start to render out the bottom part here. Did I do any covers with any of the symbiotes? Yeah, I have a Spider-Man versus Venom, as well as a couple of other Venom drawings here on my YouTube channel, so you can search those. There's a Spider-Man art playlist. Those should be in there. And I did a Carnage post-it illustration a few weeks ago, so you can see me draw Carnage as well. So I've drawn Spider-Man versus Venom, a Venom, I think 2 Venoms, and then a Carnage here on my YouTube channel, so you can make sure you look those up. If you search Todd Nauck and then whichever specific character you're thinking of, more than likely you're going to find that video here on my channel if I've done that illustration. And I try to keep them all collated in playlists. I have a dedicated DC Comics playlist, a dedicated X-Men playlist, and a dedicated Spider-Man playlist. And I'm starting a Star Wars playlist. And you can find the characters that I've drawn in those. There's a post-it note playlist, penciling playlist, which you'll see this, and this video in. I'll add this video to that. Inking playlist, Copic color playlist. So I have all sorts of playlists that will cover all the characters that I've worked on. So if you're thinking of a specific Spidey villain, more than likely it's in my Spidey playlist. So I hope that's a benefit to y'all, a helpful resource. Don't know if I get everything in a playlist, but I tried to make sure I get them all dropped into a playlist. I'm sure a few have similar clocks. Do I sell the comic books that I work on? No, I don't sell those. The books I do for like Marvel, you can find those at comic book shops, but I'm not able to handle carrying, taking care of all that inventory and selling and shipping comics or anything like that. So, but if you want to pick up any of my latest comics, go to a local comic shop and see if they have any of my latest comics. Some of my most recent comics are Gwen Stacy, the Gwen Stacy series. The first 2 issues are out now. Let's see, what else have I done recently? Spidey School's out. Amazing Spider-Man 25 from last year. I had a short story in that. The Mystery Science Theater 3000 comic book series from Dark Horse. Sleepwalker, Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History. And then a lot of stuff I've drawn has been collected in trade paperback. Most notably, the Young Justice series I did at DC Comics. The comic book they later would base the cartoon on. That's over. That's now, the entire series is being collected in trade paperback. The first 4 volumes are out, and the final volume, Volume 5, will hopefully be out this summer. It all depends on how shipping will be handled due to COVID-19. Kind of delaying things with shipping, but with comic book distribution, but hopefully it will not be too delayed. It was supposed to be out in June, Book 5, Young Justice Book 5. If it doesn't come out in June, hopefully it'll be soon after as soon as it can be released to the public. See another oval over here for the other hip disc. A little more shadow on the inside of this disc. Been working some shadows here in his trunks. And creating a kind of a reflected horizon in this disc here. Cast a little shadow onto his leg there. Welcome to all those that might have just joined the live stream. So glad you're hanging out with us today. Just working on an illustration of Iron Man here on this Invincible Iron Man 600 sketch cover. Just doing the pencil artwork today. I'll be doing the inks tomorrow here on my YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Eastern, 12 noon. That's 12 noon Pacific, 4 p.m. Greenwich time if you're watching internationally. I know I saw some people shouting out their countries when we and locations when we started up this morning. I want to say welcome to everyone. So glad to have people watching from all over the U.S. and the world. Oh, thank you for the note there. My wife reminded me I said the wrong time. 9 a.m. Pacific, not 9 a.m. Eastern. 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Sorry for mixing up the times there. My focus is so much on the art here. My brain is thinking about the art and not thinking about calculating time zones. 9 a.m. Pacific time. 12 noon Eastern, 4 p.m. Greenwich. I think if you live internationally, you can calculate your time zone from that Greenwich time fairly easily. Sometimes you can go in, or I know sometimes I'll go into Google and search if I need to find out what time zone another country's in compared to mine. I'll search time zones, Pacific, and then wherever, like England or Germany or Singapore. So it's a good resource to figure out the time zone in case if you need to know exactly what time I'll be live streaming in your area. Just search Pacific time zone and then your area, and it should give you the info you need, so that you and you know what, my best suggestion, subscribe to my channel, and then you can tap that little bell, select your notifications to alert you in whatever way you want to be alerted, so that when I schedule and start a live stream, you can be made aware, and so you don't miss out. You'll get a notification and you'll be like, oh, yikes. Excuse me, everybody. I got to go. Todd Nauck's live streaming on YouTube. Just double checking my details here. Can I start live streaming at 6 p.m. Cairo, Egypt time? Yeah. I wish I could. I wish I could. That's a funny joke. I hope 6 p.m. Cairo, Egypt time is the same as 9 a.m. Pacific time in the US, because that would be very beneficial for both of us. Oh, okay. It is 9 a.m. is 9 a.m. Pacific is 6 p.m. Cairo. Good to know. Very good to know. So it works out perfectly. So glad to hear that. All right. So let's pull the camera back here a little bit, and you can see the entirety of the Iron Man that has been illustrated today. Now that I look at this, I want to extend the shoulder just a bit. Sometimes you have to step back from your art to kind of get a full breadth, full idea of what it is you've drawn. Sometimes it's like, oh, I need to adjust that a little bit. And that's kind of the nice thing about taking a step back. Getting a fresh eye. There we go. Just need to broaden that shoulder. Just a smidge. Actually, now that I look at it, I need to adjust this guard thing a little bit more. It's a little inconsistent. I don't like that. Everything was pulling a little too far on this side, which wasn't matching up with the other side. The spacing, the spatial relationship of like this bolt and that bolt. This one was too far over to the center. So I needed to just do a little erase and slide it over. And then rework those metallic renderings there in that shoulder there. And that kind of gives some more consistency in the breadth, the width of his shoulders. at this angle. There we go. I like how that fits together a bit better. All right. I will be posting a shot of this on my social media. So make sure you're following me on all my social media accounts. They're all listed in the video description below. Let's flip the camera around and we can wrap up today's art live stream. All right, hey everybody. Let me just clip back into the rig here and we can sign off. I need a haircut so bad. I can't believe I've gone over 2.5 months since getting a haircut. So weird. Hey everybody. So yeah, like I said, Iron Man, this shot of the pencils will go up on my Instagram and Twitter and Art of Todd Nauck Facebook page. Like I said, all the links are in the video description below. So if you're on any of those social media, go and follow my account so you don't miss out. We'll be doing the inks, the inked art, just the inked art tomorrow here on my YouTube channel, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern time, 4 p.m. Greenwich time, and we just learned that that would be 6 p.m. if you're in Cairo. Thank you, Mustafa. So for that education. Gang, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you're doing well. Hopefully you're staying safe and hopefully you're staying healthy. Keep washing those hands. And we will meet up again tomorrow and we'll drop in some inks. I hope you're having a great day. Hope you're having fun. Keep on drawing and keep having fun. I'm Todd Nauck. Thanks so much for hanging out. Take care, everybody.